G'day guys, welcome back to this week's episode. With us today we've got the one and only Denver Grainger-Barras. G'day Denver.
How you going, guys?
Good. Would you like to give us a bit of a backstory on yourself?
I'm a WA boy at heart. I've been living over in Perth my whole life. I'm playing football for Swan Districts, the league team this year, and previously I was at Lakerland Junior Football Club in my junior days. Played a fair bit of cricket growing up as well, so I was always teetering between the two sports. That being cricket and football, but subsequently chose football in my more recent years, and I've been stuck with it. I am an 18-year-old who works at Bunnings and is looking to try and push to get the opportunity in the AFL system.
So what got you into footy and at what age roughly?
I think I was about 4. Mum says when I was kicked age of 6 back then. Kalamunda. My older brother being 2 years older than me meant that I was 4 down at Kalamunda Auskick, and I was just furious at the fact that they wouldn't let me play because I was too young. Until one session, Mr. Farthing, one of our Auskick coordinators, he said I could join in. So I was an underage Auskicker, and I played a couple of years up for a while with my brother, and then he put the sport down and chose not to play anymore, and I went back to my age division, and I've been playing ever since. As
a young fella, or not even young fella, but just throughout your footy career, has there been any significant moments or memories that stick with you?
Perhaps, yeah, at junior football level, I won a premiership in year 10, I think it was, with Kalamunda, and that was a great bunch of boys, and it's, team success is what everyone strives for, so I hold that one dearly. And then winning the championships last year with the 18s boys is another moment that comes to mind in terms of success in my football journey so far. I think it was an amazing experience to get given the opportunity to play, to win the championships, and then also to play a good game and to do the job that my team needed me to do for that day, and that was playing Cody Waitman. So I felt like I did that job well, and I contributed to the success. So those are probably the two things that come to mind.
Growing up throughout the footy industry, have you had anyone you've looked up to or wanted to follow in the footsteps of, to help you through your pathway sort of thing?
Yeah, I remember being a young fella, again at Kalamunda, and my dad was well acquainted with Will Schofield, recently retired, for Eagles. And I remember he came down to the club, and he was very, very vested in myself and my team's football, and I sort of latched onto Scully at a young age. And I still do it at this point in time. I love the way he goes about everything, the way he doesn't take life too serious, and the way he always keeps pushing regardless. And so I think there's a lot of qualities in Scully that I still look up to. But in terms of football, someone like Dylan Grimes in today's football, someone I also look up to. Love watching him play. I love the way he goes about his footy. So if I could base my game off anyone in today's system, it'd be Grimes for sure. One of the two, or blend between the two.
So what made you decide to go down the pathway of footy?
I like the challenge. I just always did. I just thought that there's no more challenging a game than that sport. I was always about being challenged even at a young age, whether that was in cricket, football, even school. But something about football just sort of, there's always it always was just probably the greatest challenge to try and be the best on the field every game, and try and take the biggest mark or trying to kick the wickedest goals, you know what I mean? So I think that's why I stuck to it at a young age.
So you're obviously a very, good defender. Have you always played as that role just growing up and throughout your juniors and throughout your footy career?
Yeah, especially in the more recent years, probably from year 9 onwards. I've probably been cemented as a key back. I remember in the state 15s, I was sort of a bit of a swingman, went forward and back. But then in the state 16s and coming through my Colts years, I was sort of throwing down back. But I found that when the game's on the line and if I'm required up forward for some supply, then I'm more than willing, and I'm probably one of the most keen to get down there and try and do that for the team. I'm just I like to think that I'm versatile, and I want something I want to work on. But I've been cemented as a backman for a long time now.
You played juniors at Kalamunda and District Football Club. What was that like as a club, and what made you, I guess, decide to play there?
My brother, we used to live in Kalamunda, or in Gooseberry Hill, which is a 2-minute drive to the Oval. So I just sort of latched onto it. I love the club mentality. I love the people around it, and still to this day, it's probably my home of homes in terms of football. You know, whenever I go to sleep at night and have a dream about taking Mark of the Year, it always happens to be at Costera, which is Kalamunda's home ground. It's just always been like that. I think I sort of, especially in my more senior years, grew to love the family mentality, and it's something that's always stuck with me, and something I found at Swans as well. So I'm always pointing between those two to see which one's true. It's a hard choice.
You were selected to play in the under-16 All-Australian team. What did that mean to you when you were selected in 2018?
Yeah, I think put together a good 16s campaign. And to be honest with me, it wasn't really something I was even striving for, the All-Australian squad. To be honest, I was a bit ignorant of the fact that there wasn't an All-Australian squad. I remember just going into each game thinking that I had to think for my team. I was one of the captains, and I felt like every game I had a responsibility to stand up and lead from the front. So I was really, really happy that I could do that for the team, and then to then get recognised with an All-Australian selection as a key backman, and then also one of the All-Australian captains. I was extremely honoured, and I think it was one of the defining moments where I really, really thought, it's possible that I could push and really, really have a shot at making the AFL. And so I think that was one of the key defining moments. But such an honour to be selected in that minute group, and there was such a good bunch of players, and there was so much talent. We're seeing it come up today.
So you're also selected to play with Western Australia in the Under-18 National Championships as a bottom major. What was that like as an experience?
It was amazing. It was a whirlwind. I remember the first game getting dropped. I was told to come to the game with all my gear and everything, and there was a 1 in 2, 1 in 3 chance that I was going to play. I was sort of toying between the two blokes, between us 3 blokes. Sadly, I was one of the bottom majors. I was the only bottom major of those 3, and they sort of said, "Why, mate, go back and learn." So being that close was hard, and then the next game I didn't even get brought into it at all. Devastating. But then the third game against the Allies, I was given the opportunity to play down back, and I performed good enough to warrant another game selection against Victoria. So I think it was amazing for Sumich to give me that opportunity, and I love to say that I took it with both hands.
So last year, sadly, your season got cut short with your shoulder injury. How did that affect you at the time of the injury and the mind state of things?
Yeah, it was hard. It was definitely a hard one. I think I'd just come off a couple of really, really good games to state for the 18s boys, and that warranted league selection at Swan Districts, which was a goal of mine at the start of the year, which honestly I didn't see it as possible. But to come back from the 18s and get told that I was playing league was amazing. And it was immediately, as soon as I was told that, my goal was to try and keep my spot in the team for the whole year. So that was my next challenge. So then to do my shoulder in the third quarter was definitely saddening, and it was I understood that it was going to be a challenge that I had to face. I'd never really gone through a serious injury that was going to put me out and force me to miss footy games. So I knew the rehab process was going to be a challenge, but I just tried to find the silver linings, and that was preparing me in a way for touch wood, the case that I got injured in the system or future further down in life, and then I'd be better prepared because I'd have a load of rehab under my belt. So it was a bit of a silver lining, but it definitely was hard.
Out of that injury, did you take any positives away from the injury as such, as more experience to do better next time on your body or something?
Yeah, I knew I prepared well. And I remember I watched the clip hundreds and hundreds of times, and it was just one of those incidents where if I tackled the bloke a different way, I wouldn't have done it. So that was gutting, but I realised that me looking at it and thinking, if I'd done this, isn't going to change the fact that I'd already done it. So, I did. I tried to find as many silver linings as I could, and one of those was, practicing rehab, practicing going to the gym every day, and before every gym session, adding another half an hour of shoulder work to try and better strengthen me and better prepare me for the next contest I hit. So definitely tried to find the silver linings, and I think that aided me in getting through it as well as I did.
Yeah. You talked about going forward with the shoulder injury. Do you reckon that's like made you more like had a slight edge over your opponents for like knowing, like you say you've been strong because you've had more time off, more to work on your physical game than your on-field game?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely feel like it's given me the advantage for sure up against opponents. And I think I sort of had a lot of time where everyone else was playing football when I was sitting in the gym doing my lat pull downs, trying to make sure I was strengthening it correctly. And it gave me time to look at the different side of football, look at technique with tackling, technique with kicking. It gave me an edge, so I would be watching my fellow peers and watching them all train on a Wednesday, and then I'd be ready. So I sort of it helped me gain knowledge on all the players that were playing in the league team, so that if I was given the opportunity round one, I was ready to just get thrown in and be able to play with them and sort of slot into the defense, hopefully seamlessly. So I think there was tons of very much.
There's been talk of yourself going higher in this year's draft. Do you feel as if there's any added pressure on yourself?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question, actually. Really good question. I think pressure externally can be irrelevant if you let it. But I think it can definitely become overwhelming if you start to think about it too much. And I think the processes that I put in place this year have sort of aided in me focusing on what's in front of me. So, like for example, we got a couple state games in this weekend and next weekend. So I've had a million questions about the draft, and as you do, but really all I'm focusing on is the training session tomorrow and then the game this weekend. Try and make sure that I can showcase my talent in the best way possible. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of pressure externally, but whether you internalise that is completely up to you. So I try my hardest not to look into it and just try and make sure I can do the things that I control the best, for sure.
Yep. So do you have any advice for younger kids, like growing up, or just kids in general, who would like to, I guess, go down the pathway of AFL professionally?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. I think one of the biggest things with trying to achieve something that's going to be a challenge is putting your head down early. Really, and that we all talk about sacrifices and what you've got to do. You got to give up going out and having fun. Well, I'm one of the people that really just believes in you just got to commit 100%. And certain goals, it's a lot more taxing to commit. So with football, you can't go out and drink every weekend because you're gonna lose your fitness. You're not going to be able to perform at the level that you want to. So I think just going all into something, I reckon, is probably the best bit of advice I can give anyone, is because if you're going to go at something with half an effort, then you're going to get found out eventually, and and you won't make it as far as you possibly could. So yeah, committing 100%.
So thanks, guys, for watching this week's video with Denver Grainger-Barras. Go check out our Instagram. Our link will be in the bio to all of the socials, as well as go check out Denver's Instagram. The link will be in the bio. But thanks a lot for jumping on, Denver. Means a lot, and best of luck for the upcoming draft.
Thank you, lads. It's my pleasure. It's good speaking to you.
Cheers.
You do. Thanks a lot.